Alright, in this video we're going to take a look at the basics of Moodle Gradebook. So I'm going to first go into one of my courses that already has the basics set up. Go into that particular course. On the left hand side here under settings you'll see grades, and you'll see here it's basically looking at the grader report. You'll see trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3. These are called categories. Okay, and then you see I also have a category called last year. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And there aren't any students enrolled in this course, and they haven't turned any assignments in, so you'll see no data there. So in this video we want to talk about how to set this up and the basics of it. So I'm going to go back to my home page, and we're going to take a look at a course, Advanced Software Development, that really I'm just starting out with. It has nothing really entered in it. It's got a little bit of information here, but it doesn't have any work in the gradebook. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to try to set up my gradebook. I'm going to go to Grades. And notice here there are no categories set up. It's basically just empty and blank. So first thing you want to do is set up your categories. Typically categories would be trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3, maybe midterms, final, exams. You could use categories even further. You could use categories for homework, exams, quizzes. So in this example I'll try to keep it simple. So this little drop down right here is really important. Essentially we're going to go to categories and items, and I just do the simple view. Okay, and you can see here we can put in our categories here. Alright, so I'm going to say add category. Okay, I'm going to choose trimester 1 is the name of it. We'll get into some of the details of all this stuff. Simple weighted mean of grades. Okay, your choices here are mean of grades, weighted mean of grades, simple weighted mean of grades. First I'll just show you how I do it, and that will probably take care of about 60% of you. So simple weighted mean of grades is what I like to choose. We'll explain that in a minute. Looking down here, you know, I'm going to kind of skip over a lot of these. Again, we're just trying to do the basics here. So I'm going to say Save Changes. There's my first category. I'm going to go ahead and you can see there it is, trimester 1. I'm going to throw in another one, trimester 2, and again just go down and hit Save Changes. Alright, and here's a couple things to note. You can see that these are indented. So Advanced Software Development is the main category. Everything is inside of that, and these are indented to suggest that they are in that course. So I have trimester 1, trimester 2, and again I think it would be good just in the beginning here, this basic video, just to show you what it looks like to give an assignment and to assign it to a particular area. So I'm going to go back to my home page here for this particular class. I'm going to turn editing on, and I'm just going to give a homework assignment, or let's say I'm going to give a quiz. How about that? Alright, so I'm going to go and I'm going to add an activity. Here are the kind of assignments that you can give. Hopefully you're familiar with these. But I'm going to give a quiz, and it's going to be graded. So I'm going to choose an offline activity because they're not going to turn anything in on the site. It's basically they're going to take a quiz and I want to put in a grade. So offline activity, I'm going to call it first quiz. For description, let's say it's okay, and here are the dates. Okay, the important one obviously is the due date. That's the one that's going to put it on the calendar on that particular day. So if I'm going to give that quiz, let's say on September 4th, okay. Alright, so now it's set for September 4th. Grade, is it going to be out of 100? I'm going to make it a 50-point quiz. Okay. And then here's the really important one. Again, grade category. You want to make sure that it goes into the correct trimester. So it's part of trimester 1. Again, we're going to skip over some of these other things. I'm just going to say save and return to course. Okay. All right. A couple things that you'll notice. All right. If I go into the grades now, you'll notice that here it is. Quiz 1 is now listed, okay, as something that's part of trimester 1. Might be easier to see all of this if I actually add a student in here. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to go to users, enrolled users, and I'm going to go ahead and just throw a student in there. I'm going to enroll Tala for a second. And let's go ahead and enroll this. Okay. The reason I'm doing that is it's easier to look at the gradebook, maybe if there's a couple students in there. Okay, so here we go. We have Wilson and Tala are part of my class. Notice here's quiz 1, and they don't have any grades entered for that. Okay, so that's kind of how you get an assignment in the gradebook. Okay, and if I wanted to look, again, if I go back to this categories simple view, it's kind of a nice way to look at this. You can notice again, there is the quiz. It's sitting in trimester 1, and it's part of the overall course. Okay, so I can end up with, you know, the category total is going to be the trimester 1 total. Okay, and then this total at the bottom is going to be for the whole course. Okay, let's jump back into the grader report. Okay, and hopefully you can see that there's my first quiz. There aren't any grades entered, but this would be the trimester 1 category total. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Again, the important things that I use are just simply the simple view for categories and the grader report. That usually takes care of most of what I need to do during the academic year for the gradebook. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at the next step here. So the first thing is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grade this quiz. Right, there's a couple ways to do this. Alright, the first way is you click on the quiz, okay, and you can see right here I can just go in and give them grades, write a comment if I choose to. Okay, pretty simple grading that way. Save all my feedback. Okay, and now again, if I go back, I can say see all course grades. All right, and I go back here. Now I can see that not only has the quiz been graded, so it's 48 out of 50, but the category. So for trimester 1, they have a 96%. Okay, so this grade is out of 50 points. It's 48 out of 50. And again, the category totals will be their overall totals. Now, we have to look at a couple things here. Let's go ahead and go back to the simple view. Again, keep going back to the same place. But I want to make sure of a couple things here. I want to make sure that, again, I use simple weighted mean of grades, okay? Because that way, for me, you know, it will go in and it will tally them. If I give a 50-point assignment, it'll treat it as 50 points. If I give a 100-point assignment, it'll treat it as 100. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in this gradebook. Down at the bottom here, for Moodle Docs for this page, is the help. I would really recommend if you have questions about the exact pieces, you just go here. Here's all of the help that you would need with scales and grade letters and setting it up. So Moodle 2.2 does a nice job of that. Okay, a couple things here I want to make sure of. Okay, so let's go back to the gradebook. So we'll go back here. Now, you can move things around in this gradebook. So if you accidentally put something in the wrong category, you can easily go in And you could move it right here. You could hide it right there. And you can edit it right here too. Okay. You can also mark things as extra credit, and again, if you have questions about that, you can look at the help here. Okay, so that's just a kind of a general overview, but you want to make sure you're paying close attention to the simple view so things are going into the correct category. And so let's go ahead and jump out of that. All right, so let's talk about the gradebook a little bit more here. Let me go into a course from last year. So that was a brand new course I was setting up from scratch. I'm going to take a look at a course from last year and take a look at the gradebook in this one. Okay, so it's the beginning of the year. Okay, and you can see in this one I already have trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3 already set up, and I have something called last year. I don't have any students enrolled here, but I want to go take a look at the simple view to show you a couple things. So here's a couple things that I think are important. All right, my trimester is set up as simple weighted mean of grades. Okay, so that way my 20-point assignment gets treated like a lesser assignment than my 100-point assignment. Okay, but you notice that the entire course is set up as weighted mean of grades. Okay, the reason I do that is once I make that choice, is it allows me to give a particular weight to each category. So in trimester 1, I want that to be 1/3 of the grade. Trimester 2. Here I have a category called last year. I don't want to factor in at all, so I have it set at 0. Okay. And here's trimester 3 is taking up the other 34%. Okay, so that's a nice way to kind of think about that. You might not always use the exact same style. Trimester 1, simple weighted mean of grades, versus the entire site is just going to be done as weighted mean. That way I could easily have a category called midterm, and I could give that a 10% weight. Okay, so I wanted you to see that there's this type is also important. So that's the basics right now. Last thing I'll point out to you, and I go back to the course that we were just looking at. Whoops, sorry. Let's go back to the home screen. Let's go back to this one for 1 second. Notice, remember when I put in the first quiz, I put it in as an offline activity. Okay. One of the nice things about putting things in as activities is that it shows up on the calendar. Okay, there it is, first quiz. And that's true for the student too. So when you put it in that way as an activity, it shows up on the calendar, it shows up on the home page, and it automatically gets added to your gradebook. So I think that's a nice feature of that. So that's all for the basics here. I hope that was helpful.